Hi, I'm Adam Jennings, and this is Awaiting Approval, a podcast about the messy human side of creative leadership. Today I'm joined by Angela Arnold, Head of Product Design at Genomics England, for a relaxed two-way conversation about her journey, the lessons she's learned, and what it takes to lead with creativity and honesty. Angela, hi, welcome to the show.
Hi Adam, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I've been looking forward to this one ever since you agreed to do it, so I'm really pleased that we're here and get a chance to record it. To start us off, and for people to learn a little bit more about you, if we were to meet in person today to record this, where would you suggest we meet and what would you order to drink?
Where would we go? Well, I'm London based and I absolutely love London parks. So I walk around the park, admire the flowers. Probably I'd go for a tea, but that's my choice. I'm a tea drinker, so but you could have whatever you like, But
Oh
I'd
no,
definitely go for a tea.
I'll raise a metaphorical tea to cheer you on for the recording and join you in that.
Yeah.
I love the idea of walking around a park as well. It's nice and tranquil.
Yeah.
To continue that theme of kind of getting to know you, is there something on your desk or nearby that just gives a little bit of insight into who you are or how you work or something like that?
Yeah, just looking around right now. I have lots of paint samples. I have lots of paint samples for this house. I go through a lot of process of choosing colours with my partner for the house. And actually it's a really intricate process and about following your gut instinct, not giving up and just going for you know, the easy option, but really thinking curiously about how colours work together, how materials work together, and what just feels right inside. And
Mhm.
I think that's a lot about how I operate on an instinctive basis. And I've really enjoyed that process of pushing through uncertainty and doubt, not going for the easy option, and just keep trying. Really, just keep going for it. And I think that's probably something I'll talk a bit more about as we chat.
I love that. So is it a sort of, is it like a kind of a partnership between exploration and gut instinct? Like you kind of push one way to see how you feel about it. Is that the sort of route here with the colors?
I think, yeah, it's so there's two of us, right? So there's a negotiation that needs to happen. I have my biases, so my biases go strongly towards a certain route. My partners are quite different. And then we end up with this process of meeting in the middle, but it takes a while, like a long while to do it. But when it's just right, it just feels right. And I think there's something there that there's a like there's a logical process. You go through the process of choosing, okay, these are colours I definitely like. Let's get them all in, let's have a look at them. And then the intricacies of the different greens or the different blues and really just trying to overcome my own biases around what I think is going to work and trying things that might not work. But also being boundaried when I really don't like something or I really don't feel it's working. And then actually, I think if you can push outside your boundaries and outside your safe zone, you can discover things that you wouldn't think you would naturally go for, that actually can surprise yourself and find new things. And I think that's about opening your heart up. I think it's about trusting the person and people around you and their kind of challenges that they give you and being open to those challenges. Um,
Mm.
yeah, you wouldn't think picking paint for your front door is so much work, but actually it's really important.
No, it is really is super important, and I think sometimes the hardest conversation, like every creative conversation, has tension in it, right?
Mm,
Like you're teaching, or you're presenting your work, or you're getting client feedback, or you're giving feedback on to a team member. There's always some degree of tension there,
yeah.
um, and that's healthy for that kind of creative debate. But I always think that sometimes the most difficult creative tension conversations are with someone that we really love, because we're so passionate about our own feeling and we're so passionate about them that all kind of overspills and it becomes so much bigger than if it were a conversation with a work colleague or a client or something like that. So
Yeah.
I don't envy you necessarily the conversations over the color of the door, but I would love to know what the end color is. Like come back and tell me afterwards when you've got the finished result.
Yeah, I will.
Just because I'm moody like
Yes.
that. So when you're thinking about that process of sort of exploration and gut feeling, and how much, obviously this is sort of in context of doing something at home, something creative at home. How much of that do you allow yourself in a work environment?
So I think I allow myself a fair bit. I think because I do a lot of um, mentoring and supporting a lot of different designers at different stages in their career. I think I think there's a lot of just stepping back, like step back, and think about who is this really for? Like, is it
Mm,
really for me? If you're conducting a design crit, who is it really for? Who's that crit for? And that's a question I ask all the time. So if we go back to the paint example, if I'm thinking, I really love a dark, moody blue, my partner's the most joyful person in the world, brings light into everything. Honestly, I am actually, who is this for actually, and what do I want this to embody? As a representative of our kind of combined effort. So I think quite a lot. I mean, I do a lot of bringing people together from diverse perspectives, and really that's about thinking more broadly than your own perspective, bringing challenges in, but bringing that in a kind of healthy, productive way, and helping people to, I guess, have a safe structure with which to share ideas and really focus on what's the real outcome we're trying to get to with this, and see if we can get to
mm,
alignment on our outcomes. I think that's just a big theme in a lot of what I'm doing in the design world
mm.
at the moment.
Finding that kind of shared goal,
Mhm.
helping then set everything up. It's almost like the end result becomes the bedrock of everything you're about to do, in
That's
a
it.
way. An alignment on the end result, I guess.
That's right, because I think you can easily just get so bogged down in the detail, that just sometimes I often think about a physical box that's not really there. It's like an invisible physical box. Is you just pick it up, turn it around, look at all the sides, examine it.
Mm,
How heavy is it? How light is it? Is it transparent? And just try and just see something lightly for what it is and explore all the angles on the outside to get the shape of it before. And I think when people do lift out, it can ease that tension if there is creative tension and gets into a place of openness and maybe thinking about things differently. I know that when I was designing hands on a long time ago, I don't do so much now. I would get stuck down rabbit holes thinking this just isn't working. And at some point, I realized it's not working because it doesn't work. I'm probably asking myself the
right,
wrong question rather than it's not working because I
right.
can't figure it out. And just like trusting myself with that gut instinct and go, actually, if it's not working, it's probably because it doesn't work and I'm missing something. So let's go back to the basics and reframe it a different way. Yeah.
There are two things there that I love. I love the idea. I'm a very visual thinker, so I love the idea of picturing this challenge as a thing and picking this thing up and like physically looking at it from different angles.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna take that away. I'm gonna be trying that. And then I also really love the idea of what you just said, and I've forgotten the words that you used. You said it perfectly. Oh, my brain.
Is it
My
I
brain has
think I
just
said
gone completely.
I think I said I feel like if it feels like it doesn't work, it's not working, it's because it doesn't work.
Yeah, yeah, that. Because the number of times I've sat there and tried this different creative route, tried that different creative route. Maybe it needs to be a little bit more spacious. Maybe it needs to be a little bit tighter. Maybe it needs to be this. Maybe it needs to be that. And you're absolutely right. Like if it doesn't, you reach a point where you just realize it's never going to work. This concept, this conceit, whatever it is, it's just not going to work. Um, which makes me think of something an old boss of mine said a long, long time ago when I used to have a really long commute, a 2.5 hour commute door to door each way. And he used to say, and that commute went through Reading train station. And he used to say, if there was ever an issue at Reading, just go home. Like if your train got stopped or delayed or cancelled or moved platforms or what have you, because it won't work from that point
Mhm.
on. If there's some issue, it's just not going to work. So go home, work from home.
Yeah.
And I've often thought of that in different sort of scenarios, and I think this is very similar. Like
Yeah.
giving yourself a kind of cut-off point of no, there's a reason I'm not able to make this work, and it's not me. It's because this isn't the right thing.
Yes, and it could be that it may be that we're well, it can prompt you to think, am I asking the right question? Might be
Mm,
another way to think about it. It's not working because there's no solution to the problem. It just might be we're looking at the wrong problem or looking at it the wrong way. But the other thing is actually, it could be kind of me. I'll talk about myself because I think one thing I've just gotten to know about myself over time is really identifying with my strong times of day and my less strong times of day. So
right.
yeah, I wake up in the morning very early and I'm full of ideas, and I have to resist the temptation of waking my partner up to tell her all my amazing ideas. and but I know that I work my best in any creative situation first thing in the morning. If it's like past 3 o'clock and I'm struggling with something, I just put it down and have faith that in the morning things will have bedded in, my brain will have done its thing, and it will all seem a lot easier. And 9 times out of 10, it does. And that's just I communicate to that to the people I work with quite a lot. That that's my best time to deal with these types of things, and we're going to get the best out of the session. And what's your best time? And when's the best time to have this conversation for you? You know, and getting in touch with that on your own as well is, I think, quite healthy and productive thing to do, and not force yourself to the boundaries. Or I have must have this done by 5 o'clock, or I must work on this late. It's like, when are you going to get the best out of yourself?
Mm. I find myself like vigorously nodding because I'm realizing in real time that that's something that I always tell people I'm working with to do, and I'm really bad at doing it for myself. I'm really bad at noticing. I know there's a dip at 3 p.m. I know I usually have a coffee around then to kind of just get through the rest of the day. Um, I know that, but like the idea of the type of work for the type of day,
Hmm.
yeah, of course, it makes perfect sense,
Yeah.
and I am a firm believer in it, but have not put that into practice for myself. So that's item number two that I'm going to take away from this
Yeah.
podcast, from this
Okay.
episode.
Good.
It's brilliant. It's like free therapy. Thank you.
My pleasure.
um, I'd love to go right back to the beginning of your
Hmm.
career, and if you could take us like on a bullet point tour from there to now.
Hmm.
Don't necessarily need to touch
Hmm.
every point along the way, but kind of key milestones.
Sure. I mean, I let me think. I was really artistic when I was a child, and I was really successful. And then I know I'm going back quite early, but I can explain why. Is I just had this interesting moment, and it's kind of influenced a lot of the moments I've had in my career actually, which is at one point my confidence really knocked with art through my teaching, and suddenly I was just not confident in my own abilities, and so I didn't take an artistic route through university. Um, yeah, no one in my family had been to university. So the opposite side of that is there was a head teacher who just said to me, "Go apply for some universities," and it would never even enter my head because it's not in my family to do so. I wouldn't have even thought of it. Um, and at the same time, I was applying for loads of jobs in banks because I knew I needed to get a job. And all the banks said no, and 3 universities said yes. And there I was. I just ended up going. But I think where I started there is because that theme of just someone giving you that little nudge to give you a bit of confidence to take a leap has been really um, beneficial for me in building my self belief and helping me to make leaps of faith to see what happens without knowing what's on the other side. So I guess if I jump forward a bit, I'm completely self taught in human centered design, product design through experience, and learn as I went, building marketing microsites, HTML, CSS, and just coding and making things in code. I never designed in a design package, I don't think, ever. It's just paper prototypes and coding, really. Um, but I had a really great experience when I went to this. Actually, my first big job in design was at Rightmove, and the person who was the lead designer at the time there just took a real chance on me and really believed in me, actually, and built my confidence and taught me a lot. And that really shaped me and my career path. Um, and it was great. I've had a real journey through a lot of, I've worked for not for profits, I've worked for agencies, I've worked for like financial insurance, lots of different domains. Um, but what I think has made the difference in each of those is that they've each had a really different learning experience to them. So
Mm,
I guess, yeah, I've had experiences of real, what I would say, which I think is quite hard to come by, real true agility, i.e., being truly outcome focused, being really, really kind of laser sharp focus on outcomes and working as cross functional teams, like side by side, designing in code, developer sitting next to a designer, sitting next to QA, sitting next to a product manager, just bouncing off, getting things made and getting them out, which was, that really was a great first start for me because I think even now we still talk about things like agility and how do we do this? How do we make that work? And it is hard. But I bring a lot of that still now into the things I'm doing today,
mm.
basically, which has been great. Yeah.
I love the story of um, the story with a small s, like of your story. Let me start that entire thing again because it's not coming out how I need. What I really love in there is that triumph over the the loss of confidence. You know, I
Sure.
think that's something that a lot of us in the creative industries have at one time or another, or for many of us, myself included. It's a constant, ebb and flow of
Mhm.
confidence and no confidence, and sort of continual battle against imposter syndrome. I didn't have any formal training in design either. I didn't go. I started in acting in theatre and only started making websites for theatre companies because this thing called the internet came along,
Yes.
and so that's how it all kind of started for me.
Hmm.
And so I can logically look at things I've done, things I've put out in the world, clients I've worked with, and I can say, well, there's verifiable evidence that I know what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
but I'm still waiting for the knock on the door for someone to come along and say, hey, you haven't got that piece of paper that said you know what you're talking about. I love it when when you talk to someone like yourself and there is that moment of knock of confidence, but then the comeback from that,
Yeah.
and the success and the growth after that. What would be your for anyone that's sort of listening right
Hmm.
now or watching this, that's right in the middle of that, that's facing that lack of confidence because of something else that has happened? What's your sort of words of guidance for them?
I think it's really important to, really helpful if you have it, to spend time with the people around you who do believe in you, whether that's family or friends, or if that's a work colleague, whatever. Is just to spend time with people who uplift you and who see you generally, not necessarily almost as a designer, but just surround yourself with the people that really lift you up and appreciate you, and make sure you're doing things that for people and with people that you like doing, that feels like personally enriching. I think in a work context, it's really important to, if that's happening in work, is to make sure you have that in your life if you can. I think also is, if there's people out there that who do mentoring and coaching, and I think having that kind of, if you don't have it directly available, if someone in the industry to be able to just have some time away from the everyday, just to lift out of it, because you're very much in it when you're in, say a job, you're very much in the situation, but to be able to lift out and have a kind of more objective, because this a perspective, because there's so much, say when you're working in a team and you're trying to deliver something, and I think us as the designers and all the colleagues we work with, we're hit with challenges constantly that mean we can't deliver
Mm,
exactly what we wanted to, or we can't get across or get approved the thing we really wanted to build or design. There's so many factors that affect that, that sometimes lifting out and doing something purely for yourself, that's, you've got more agency over, whether that's picking up a course and studying, where you're just free to get through the course, what you put in is what you get out, and it's all yours. um,
mm,
is they're the kind of things, at least for me, that I do to keep myself able to ride the challenges where maybe I can't get as far as I want, or I've had a bit of confidence knock. So I can just double down on my own self confidence in general by doing something for myself, with the people I care about, for the people I care about, and for myself. Um, as I say, because I think it is hard to do all the things you dream of doing, especially in design, in the context of any company because there's so much going on there.
Mm. There's always a compromise.
Yeah,
It feels like, whether it's time, budget, money,
yeah.
go-to-market constraints, whatever it might be, like there's always a compromise in it. So I think to have another avenue, I think it's a really great advice, to have another avenue where you can do something solely for yourself and succeed in that,
Hmm.
and then share that success with those
Yeah.
that love you, with those that support you. I love that. That's an answer full of really of warmth and love. I really appreciate that. Hi. If what we're talking about in this episode is resonating with you, the challenges faced are the ones that are in front of you right now, the path they've taken is your dream career path, whatever it may be, stick around until the end of this episode to find out how you can work directly with me to level up your leadership skills. Get 30 years worth of experience downloaded into your skill set in just 4 weeks. At the same time, meet amazing other design leaders as part of your cohort. Thanks for listening. I'll see you at the end. And on a slightly different tangent, it makes me think of when my ADHD brain is in utter pause mode and cannot get any further. The easiest way to kickstart it is to think of a tiny task
Hmm.
that I can do, because then I get a little kick of dopamine that I have succeeded in something.
Yeah.
And then it's a waterfall from there that kind of builds, and it feels a similar sort
Hmm.
of um, jumping off point, really, to
Yeah.
find something that you can do for yourself. So
Yes.
that's really wonderful. I love that.
Yeah. There's something else there
What?
I was just thinking about, which was about going back to that question of who are you doing this for. I can only speak for myself. Is sometimes in the past I might have had a knock of confidence from an external perspective, but that's because I'm thinking it's for them and they're not happy with what I've done, for example. It's like, well, actually, is it? Because if I've enjoyed the process, I'm learning from the process. Um, to somehow have that sense of objectivity about, I know that I'm going to get feedback. I know that um, it may not be the way I want it to be in the end, but actually the process I've been through has always been a learning experience. Most of my growth opportunities and growth has come from challenges and knockbacks that have been quite hard. I'm not saying I would have them again, but I think it's, yeah, think about what's in it for you. And if you're happy with the work you're doing and you're satisfied and you're getting something out of it, it's how much you place on the external perspectives on what you're doing and how much you how much, importance you place on your own sense of self and your own sense of achievement. As you say,
Mm,
whether you set yourself tiny goals or bigger goals, that's kind of yours. That's yours. No one can really touch that because that's yours for yourself.
because that breeds, right? That breeds confidence and self-love. The more you can find those things that you're doing for you, and the more you can trust in your own instinct and your
Hmm.
own worth, the worth of your own judgment, like that builds and builds and builds, right? And
Yeah.
so I think that's fantastic. And it kind of leads nicely into what I want to ask next, which is when you think about all of those places that you took us through, the bullet point journey you took us through, is there a place there that you would go back to yourself then, but knowing what you know now? And if there is, what would you say to yourself?
Mhm. Yeah, I think I can't think of a specific time, like so specific. But I think when there's been times where I've hesitated to do something new for fear of what might happen, or whether I'll fail at it or not, or whether I'm going to be any good at it, is from experience. Whenever I've taken a leap into the unknown, it's never been a bad idea. I've tried something that I don't know if I'm going to be very good at it. I don't know if it's going to work. I might not even see it through to the end. I'm just going to close my eyes and have a go anyway. That's tended to work out. So I think it's just, if you like the idea of something, not to wait to be fully convinced and 100% certain it's going to work out. Yeah, if you want to try something, just try it. And something good will come out of it either way. And there's no shame in stopping something if it's not working. So I think again, it's like I would say definitely take the leaps, try stuff out, and see where it leads you, and be open to that, as opposed to trying to predict every possible outcome and manufacture your route through. Is just take leaps, try something new. It might not work out. Like listen to what you're feeling. If you're doing something and it doesn't feel great, listen to that. It's telling you something, and it's giving you information to help you move forward. So yeah, that's what I would say: is take the leap and don't worry too much about how it's going to work out in the long run.
I like that. And when you think about, I mean, you say about, listen to your gut, and if it doesn't feel right, I think that's possibly one of the hardest pieces to learn, and that can only be learned through experience. That
Hmm.
hearing your gut and knowing what signals to look out for. I think we often feel like making the leap, it can be the hardest piece.
Hmm.
I'm just going to pause for a second because I think we're about to get invaded by a cat. No, okay, we're okay. I thought there was just going to be a cat walking across the bottom of the screen. Um, there's, yeah, I think like often we can feel like the leap is the hardest thing, or timing the leap
Hmm.
is the hardest thing. But I actually think one of the hardest things is understanding the signals to know when, okay, it's time for me to move on. I've done what I've been meant to do here.
Hmm.
It's not working for me, either on a really bad scale or on a just a general. I've done my time here now. I've done what I was brought in to do. So, what would be your sort of signals to look out for that might suggest time to move to the next challenge?
Well, for me, I think it's about am I learning? Am I um am I building my networks? Am I growing as an individual? And but it's almost always also about where's my interest taking me. So not so much necessarily when it's time to move on. It might be something like when's it time to add something, like add another angle to what I'm doing. So for example, I've been really interested in learning something new recently. Not because I need a new challenge, but I'm just curious to open up my skills a little bit. And I did spend ages kind of procrastinating about what to do. And I talked to a few people and I wasn't sure. So I thought, okay, first of all, I'm just going to watch a course video. That's it. Like tiny task again, I'm just going to watch a video. That's all I have to do. I don't have to commit. I just watch a video. And I watched the video and I was like, oh, that sounds really interesting. Maybe I'll just speak to the tutor. Oh, okay, that was a good conversation. Maybe I'll just apply. And if I don't get in, then it wasn't meant to be. And then you get in and you're like, okay, well, maybe I should just go. And then it just goes from there. So I think it's more like in an ideal world, it's just following your curiosities and kind of thinking about in a positive way what interests you, what makes you curious, what gives you another perspective on something. If we go back to that box thing I was saying at the beginning, is I like to add various different kind of um, layers to what I'm doing. I mean, I've had some really pivotal moments in my life that have signaled change and driven me to change. And like one of the biggest ones was the passion I developed to work in healthcare, which has led me to where I am now. And it was a long wait from knowing I wanted to work in healthcare to it finally happening. But I didn't really worry about that. I just thought, well, I think the opportunity will come. I just need to keep my eye out. And if I need to build some skills, I could go and build some skills. But I think getting those signals right is about getting to know yourself and about even just spending time getting to know what you enjoy and what you don't enjoy, or what you get excited about, or finding something that suddenly piques your interest. Oh, I really want to work in that domain. Okay, I've got that kind of fire. I can feel excited about it. I'm going to pursue that a little bit, see what happens.
I think that's fantastic advice, and it's resonating with me. There's a lot of a lot of this year for me has been about trying to practice. Um, uh, oh my days, my brain this evening is not working. Um, trying to practice presence,
Mhm.
trying to be um, trying to be much more present in the moment, and And I think that listening to yourself, and understanding what's going on inside, not just in your head, the words and the pictures that you can hear, but the feelings,
Hmm.
in various parts of your body that give you that intuitive nod to say, yeah, you're excited about this. This is the
Yeah.
right path. Or like, no, like the heavy, mysterious music is playing in that direction. Like that's no,
Yes.
I really love the idea of that. Um, and it sort of resonates heavily, I think. And I'd be intrigued to know. So here's a double kind of layer question.
Okay.
When you think about everything that you've produced, all the work you've done, the projects you've run, the teams you've led, everything that's gone out there, is there a piece that you're most proud of? And then the second layer to that, I guess, is did you feel that excitement as you were working on that project?
I mean, I'm proud of so much of the outcomes that have been had such a privilege to be a part of contributing towards. Because ultimately that's, as a product design person, my ultimate desire is to get great experiences into the hands of people. It's not about the wireframes or the pixels in the end. It's how you get the thing out the door into the hands of people, which is phenomenally difficult. So whenever we overcome any kind of challenges and make that happen and transform the way maybe an organization operates or the way people work together to make that happen, I just feel very excited in those moments all the time when we see people connect and deliver together. That's just really exciting to see that evolve over time. I think if I was to go back to the past a little, something that really part of my transformation into the healthcare direction was I was working in an agency and I got to work on a healthcare pitch. It was just a pitch. We didn't, get the whole thing in the end. Which might you think, well, why would you be proud of that? You didn't win the pitch. But actually, I got to get really close to the people in the healthcare environment, and just it was such a sensitive topic and something that was you had to tread really carefully and really try seek to understand. And I just felt so privileged, more than proud, more privileged to be brought into that world and to be able to do something. And from a design point of view, they really loved the design, and we built a really great rapport. And I felt really great that I could help to envision a future for that organisation and be a part of their journey, figuring out what was right for them. And yeah, I think it's that warm feeling inside that the work I'm doing is having the kind of impact I want to be having. Sorry. Um, that's when I feel really, really privileged, and I feel very lucky, and I feel very, very proud when that results in something that might change outcomes for people.
Mm. And we often talk about, design is solving a challenge, finding a solution for a challenge, and that
Mhm.
when you find a challenge with a solution that positively affects the real lives of people, it's a whole other level, right?
Mhm.
Of of um, emotive feeling when you crack that challenge and you find the right solution, and then it does
Yes.
actually go on to help people. Was that part and parcel of why you wanted to move into the healthcare space?
Yeah, it's a big part of it. I mean, when you were talking earlier about what the signals, I remember I did do a 10 credit open university module in HCI when I was probably in my 20s because I was just curious about it, and I absolutely loved it. I really just the energy I felt just doing the coursework, I was like, "Wow, this is amazing," and I was really excited, and I just followed it. And but what I was finding as I went through my career was that had all these frameworks and all these theories, and I was trying to apply them, and they were getting blocked, and I couldn't do them as to the extent that I wanted to. And it was sometimes like really frustrating, actually. But over the time, I learned to change my whole perspective on design, and that this kind of pushed me into healthcare was about, and I guess in my journey into design leadership was about how can I do anything and everything I can to unblock the things that actually stop great design happening, because it's usually not down to the craft on its own, it's down to other factors around it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the thing that led me most to the healthcare journey is, like, I ended up spending 9 days with my father, who was in intensive care, and I sat and I watched the healthcare staff around him and around everybody else, and I was absolutely just blown away by this is day in, day out. Amazing human
Mm.
beings doing this amazing work. And it's incredible. And I just sat there and I thought, wow, I want to design for these people. I want to produce outcomes that help people who are doing this kind of work. Um, and yeah, really lit a fire after the previous experience in the agency. And then that, I just thought, well, that really drove me for the desire and the passion to do it. And I just had to be really patient, to be honest, to wait for an opportunity to arise. Um, yeah.
Did you feel like, I mean, I think you sort of mentioned before that you were okay waiting for that because you knew it was going to happen. Like, did you feel like, yeah, I'm always going to get into that once you decided about the healthcare space? Like, yes, I know that's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm not sure I was 100% confident it would happen, but I don't know. I've often felt if I stay open to the idea and I'm kind of keep my eyes open, stay open, and I believe in it that it could happen, then I've got a good chance. And it did take a long time, and I did traverse quite a few different directions before coming into this space. But yeah, I didn't know for sure, but I just felt strongly that if I feel like really in tune with what I want to do, then hopefully I should be more in tune with the opportunities out there. And when the time comes, obviously it helps to have a natural passion for a subject, I think. And then I guess it kind of
Mm,
drives me to believe that actually if I just keep patient and just keep my eyes open and put in the effort, then that could be something that could happen. Um,
mm,
so I guess there's a bit of kind
mm.
of just belief there without knowing it's actually going to come to bear. Yeah.
But I think the best examples of manifestation are exactly that, right? There's just this feeling that yes, this is what I want. But then you actually put the work in as well. You know, you research it, you do the courses, you experience pieces here and there to find out, yes, I test the water a little bit. Yeah, absolutely. This is the route. This is
Hmm.
the thing I want. This is the path I want. Um, I'm curious when you think back over everything, was there a time where maybe it was a choice you made or a project you worked on or just something that didn't quite go according to plan? And
Hmm.
what did you learn from that?
Wow, there's a few I could pick. Things that didn't go to plan. Yes, I really got kind of hooked on design sprint methodology when it came out. I was very excited about it. I learned how to facilitate, and I really took to facilitation really well, which I didn't think I would. I'm not, the most confident public speaker, and then I found facilitation. I really, really loved it, and really enjoyed practicing it. And so I was naturally like, right, I'm going to bring this into my organization. We're going to do design sprints. And, there was a stakeholder had this really strong vision of the solution they wanted down to the exact position of the buttons on the page and everything. And I was like, look, and I did all the hard work setting, look, let's take a step back. Let's define the problem. Let's kind of co-create some solutions. I bought pretzels, everything. I had like, chocolate covered peanuts on the table and all the whiteboards, all the gear, everything. And they even gave us the space. And I was like, that's amazing. Facilitated the session by the book. The stakeholder was in the session. I thought, that's amazing. I'm so happy. And then we got to the end, and there was this moment when everyone was standing around and looking at the last presentation of the prototype. Okay, what are we going to do next? And they was like, well, this is great, but I think we're just going to do the page anyway. Um, and I was a bit crushed, and I sat there and I thought, what have I got wrong here? Like, what on earth have I got wrong here? Because I've done everything by the book. But I think this is the thing. I've got this book on my shelf called Life Between Buildings. It's by an architect. And it talks about when you design the spaces in between things. that's where things come together. That's where communities come and sit and stay and communicate and collaborate. Like a street, a road, if it's pedestrianised, everyone's going to come and sit and stay and drink coffee and tea and talk. If it's just a road with cars, people operate on a very transactional level. And that concept, I was reading about this at the time, and I thought this is the problem: is you can run a design sprint, but if you haven't thought ahead about how you're going to exit that sprint into the next phase, and you haven't built that in, and you haven't got momentum coming out of that, it's all going to fall off a bit of a cliff. Um, and so that learning experience taught me that it's so important to build the relationship so you can understand, really understand that person's needs, and that you're not just giving them a methodology because you want to do it, but
Mm,
actually what's the real need right here and is it the right thing? But then secondly, when you're applying methodologies like that, then require a lot of time and effort investment, is you need to put as much investment into how are you going to exit that thing? How are you going to bridge the gap between that and making the thing that's going to come out of it? And that's actually quite a complicated space to think about because it's very uncertain. But it's the space where the decisions actually get made. The real decisions don't get made in the design sprint. They get made afterwards when someone says, should we put a squad behind this? Shall we put just a sprint behind this, or should we actually invest in an actual innovation here? That's the real decision, not the design sprint decision. So I think it's like that really shaped my career, as in what I do now, a lot of which is figuring out where those spaces are, where decisions are getting made, and figure out how to design into those spaces and design out of them so that we can actually, rather than having moments where we have methods that we apply, we actually, we're actually conjoining the discussion and actually designing the flow of the decision making, which is really hard, but that lesson was really hard. And yeah, it's definitely shaped a lot of what I'm doing now, for sure.
the analogy of that sort of connective tissue, you know, pulling the pieces together to create a whole, the spaces in between, the connecting the dots, the multi-layered approach within a container, like it just, it's sort of all perfectly as you're saying it. I'm kind of visualizing everything just straight down into the perfect sort of place for growth and success to happen. And I love the analogy of a pedestrianized street where people can come and sit down and have a coffee and chat and sort out the problem about Mrs. Jones's cat from number 42 constantly being in the garden at number 12, and or whatever it might be. You know, like you can just imagine all of that going on. Um, and I think that's wonderful. So thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that. When we talked about, you know, things that you're proud of in work, we
Mhm.
talked about things that didn't quite go into plan and what you learned. What are you most proud of outside of work?
I think the thing I'm most proud of is through um, living through hard things, that managed to craft a life that has joy in it, and having the building the confidence to have joyful people in my life that are supportive and loving. That's my proudest achievement, because it's when you go through a lot of hard times, it can be easy to not keep hoping for that. So I think for me, my
Mm.
proudest thing is just me, my family, and um, really sticking together and pushing through hard things, and still being joyful, finding joy, and I'm very proud of staying close to who I really am. I feel like I really insist on that, is staying really true to my roots and really staying true to how I was raised, um, and paying attention to the small things that really matter. Um, I feel very passionate about that, and I feel very proud in my life that I'm keeping that going, and hopefully creating a lovely environment to live in. Really, there's me and my partner now, two kitties who are our babies, and it's a very simple life, and I feel proud to have a simple life, because I think the world's really can be things can be very chaotic and very busy now and very fast. So just creating a nurturing space and really looking after that. I think something very important. So I'm proud that I'm able to do that and overcome difficulties in order to keep that. Again, I think it's a theme of what we've been talking about is just keep that sense of hope and faith in good things and kind of create that for myself and other people around me. I think that's something to be proud of. Yeah. Gone deep with you there.
I really appreciate it. Thank you for being so candid. And I hear you, and that idea of, you use the term a simple life, that there's such beauty in that simplicity. There's such calm in that
Mhm.
simplicity. There's so much hope in that simplicity as well. So thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
When we think about what's happening in the creative industries right now with a perfect shitstorm of, financial crisis worldwide and wars everywhere and rapid advancements in tech and AI and everything being sort of displaced and just generally everything feeling,
Mhm.
like, if we were to think of two groups of people, those coming into the industry right now and those that have been in the industry for a long while but have been out of work for a long while, what would be your sort of words of guidance for both of those two groups?
Oh, yeah, I feel a big sense of responsibility answering that question. I don't know if I'm in a great position to advise people really, because I'm not. No one's clear on what the future will bring. We never are. Um, I feel like for people coming new into the industry, I almost feel like maybe I'm just a bit deluded about this. But when I started out as a designer, I literally was just learned on the fly, and I was just designing in code, and I just taught myself, and I was just in it, doing it. And I think staying open to that it does require just a bit of kind of optimism without really knowing what's going to happen. I think just staying curious and trying things. But most of all, I think it's just when you do try things, I think it's like I said at the beginning, is be really open to seeing if you can understand for yourself, is this really for me? Does this bring me joy? Does this bring me fulfillment? Because ultimately you spend an awful lot of time at work if you're in work. And I think it's important to think, is this right for me? Is this where I want to be? Is this what I want to be doing? And I think that's the same for people who have been designers for a long time is there the way I think about it myself is, and I've always adapted as my design career has changed over years, is what's what's piquing my interest right now that's new, and how am I going to shape shift in order to get my kicks from what I'm doing. And it's not the same as what that looked like a few years ago. It's changed completely because the environment's changed. The tools, whether the tools have changed or not, the environment's changed. I've moved between different companies, like everything's changed. So personally, I try to stay open to not being too fixed about what product design is specifically, and keep focused on the outcome I'm trying to drive for, which is, again, I just want to get great experiences into the hands of people and it having an impact.
Mm.
Design is such a broad world of possibility that I think all I can say for me is I try to stay open to getting the outcomes I want to get, keeping them the same, but the route with which I take might take quite a different path. So I try not to stay too close to product design is exactly this, and this is what I do, and this is exactly the boundaries of what I'm doing. And I think to myself more, right, okay, this is the thing that's happening over here. What skills do I have that could help with this? How can I help this group of people? Um, and I think so much of design skills are so applicable to so many problems, whether that's organizational change, any kind of systems thinking, and those kind of mindsets are so useful in so many different ways. Is to think, again, back to what we were saying at the beginning about sense of agency, they're your skills. You have those skills for life. You have amazing skills. There's so many ways you can apply those. Is to try and stay open to different ways to use those, and maybe even explore some subjects that you hadn't thought, could this apply in this domain and adjacent domains. But I think it's like holding on holding loosely to kind of old definitions of what design is, because it's changed over the years. Doing design has changed all the time, actually. Holding loose on those things, but holding slightly tighter on your values, on the kind of things that fulfill you and the kind of skills you have, and seeing how you can apply those is that's what I think is important. I'm not sure if it solves everybody's problem, but I kind of think it kind of helps. It gives you options, right?
It does, yeah. And there's a lot of hope in that answer, which I really love. Are you hopeful about where everything is heading with the creative industries?
I mean, that's a big question too. I'm very sure that designers, design mindsets, design practice, for me at least, and I guess I would say this is such an important set of skills to make sure that we go into the future in a thoughtful way, in a
Mm.
thoughtful, careful, measured, ethical way. And I think these are skills that designers and the people in our field have in buckets. So I don't know how that plays out, but I think it's extremely important to have those kind of mindsets and those kind of skills in the room when these kind of things are being talked about or being decided. I think we have a lot to contribute,
Mm.
actually, so much value to contribute to that thoughtful process.
Absolutely. One of the things that I hope for, and I think some of the conversations from season one started to touch on it, and certainly some that I've recorded for this season, it's becoming more fully defined for me. And it feels like the logical progression of where everything is going is that most of the mundane stuff is going to be done not by humans. And I don't just mean cooking, cleaning, washing, ironing, reproduction of assets, creative assets in different sizes or whatever. I mean, a lot more of the stuff that we currently consider super, super important, which really, actually, if we were to be honest and look at the world and the bigger picture, it's not. It's all going to be done for us. So that leaves us, that, if you like, that frees up a vast percentage of our time. And what do we then as humans focus our time on? Well, it has to be the really, really important big questions, the really, really important big things, challenges that we need to solve.
Mhm.
And I think as part of a group, a collective group of people facing those challenges, those of us who create and have that empathetic, soulful passion to put ourselves into our work to create something, I think must be an integral part of that collective. So I love what you're saying. We're coming up close to the end of time, so there's
Mhm.
only a couple of questions left. I'd love to know what you would hope people listening or watching this episode might come away from thinking or feeling.
Thinking of me, did you say?
Like, having listened to this episode, what would you like? I guess a better way of saying it would be, what would you like people to take away from this?
I would like, because I guess selfishly, it's the kind of thing I would like to hear. It means I think that you're not alone. Is that we're all in this together. We're all the design community is a fantastic community, you know. Um, and so I think just embrace that community. I think it's always been the case. It's been a very close community, um, and you're not on your own. And to reach out to people and keep sharing experiences. And I think I'd like to put. I hope that people take away a sense of I don't know how to put this, being just a little bit kind of self-centered, not in a mean way, but a sense of making sure you're doubling down and thinking about yourself and self-care, because whatever is happening in the world, whatever is happening with work or design or whatever, is that self-care is like number one. So hopefully that's come
Mm.
across, and I think that's what I guess I'd like to take people to take away as well.
That's fantastic. What a really beautiful, powerful gift to give to people listening to this or watching this. The emphasis with a soft gentle push, the emphasis on that sort of self-care, self-reflection, self-love, self-worth angle. That's beautiful. Thank you. At that point in the episode, we've reached the final question. It's the same last question that I ask
Okay.
everybody who comes on the show.
Yeah.
Are you, Angela, still awaiting approval?
I am not.
Excellent. Brilliant. So this is your opportunity now. How can people get in touch with you? Where can they find you online? What kind of things would you like to promote? The floor is yours.
Wow. I mean, I'm not a big social media. I'm a kind of person that outside of work I switch off, like I said, is a kind of squirrel away in my little home. But I am on LinkedIn and kind of available to connect there. So always keen to connect with the community, people in the community.
Brilliant. Angela, this has been a really lovely, warm, thoughtful, insightful conversation. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Adam. It's been lovely to speak to you.
If today's conversation got you thinking about your own growth as a creative leader, then my program, Supercharge Creative Leaders, might well be the next step for you. It's a 4-week cohort designed to help those in leadership positions and those aspiring to be in the leadership positions to lead at a world-class level. You'll learn how to communicate with impact, grow your confidence, and lead teams that thrive, all without losing your creativity. It's a mix of pre-recorded video sessions, live Q&As with me and the rest of your cohort, and an incredible community of peers who will support you along the way. People who've already been through the course have gone on to win new roles, land promotions, get huge multi-million-dollar pitches, and they all put it down to the course and the confidence it gave them. So if you're ready to get noticed, get promoted, or finally step into that dream role, join the next cohort. Head to growwithadamjennings.com and sign up to Supercharged Creative Leaders. I can't wait to start working with you. Awaiting Approval is a Cordial Fox production, hosted by Adam Jennings, produced by Adam Jennings and Jasmine Egner.